All right, thank you. So I'm going to start off with a survey. How many people in here have been on a Zoom or Teams call in the last year? Almost everybody. Well, I think everybody's going to hopefully get something out of this conversation. Certainly, I'm going to talk a little bit about a product that I sell and I talk about all the time that relates very specifically to to the virtual world and the virtual conversations that we're all having. But regardless of what your role is, what your company does, I just want you to really leave today, and if we have a conversation later, with just thinking about those virtual conversations a little differently. And certainly it's something that I really enjoy talking about, and I really enjoy just discussing and going through different people's challenges. And so that's really my goal for today. So let me tell you, so yeah, again, my name is Adam Kucera. I am Director of Sales and Partnerships at Uniphore. Uniphore is a conversational AI company. So if you haven't heard of us, been around for about 15 years, 1,500 plus customers worldwide, 20 plus countries, many, many languages. And so we've been engaged with companies and people, conversations, helping to analyze that with AI for a long time. And a couple years ago, because of the shift to virtualization, we kind of shifted our focus, or added a focus, I should say, to get more out of those conversations. And so that's really what I want to dig into today, because a couple years ago, this was where we all kind of lived, right? We all were in an office mostly. We would go to a conference room, or if we were in sales or customer support in any kind of way, we would go visit other customers at their offices and have this kind of a conversation. And when you're doing this, right, it's a lot easier to know who's engaged in the conversation, right? Who's over checking their email or their fantasy football or whatever off to the side. Are they really paying attention? Are the slides or the presentation that I've spent weeks preparing, is it landing? Is it resonating? And so that was a little bit easier because you were all in the same room, right? And you could get that immediate feedback. But now we all lived here, right? Right? And if at best case is we're here, right? And this is both with external people as well as internal, right? But oftentimes we're here, right? Everybody just got a lot smaller, and you're trying to figure out I don't even know what's going on here. What are you trying to get, right? You're distracted. How many of you, if you saw this pop up, right, would immediately go, oh, what else am I doing today? I'm going to go to my other screen. I'm going to check on that other thing, because I don't even know where to go here, right? I don't know where to go. And that's if you're on the receiving end. If you're on the presentation end, and I did spend multiple weeks, hours, right, working on something like this, that this was going to be how I was going to convey my concept here, right? I'm presenting. I'm going through my notes. I'm doing this. I don't know what these people are. Yes, they're on camera. Maybe they're paying attention, right? So this is creating, a tremendous amount of challenge for all of us, but it's also creating opportunities. So certainly, this is a stat that is pretty obvious, right? We continue to grow into that virtualization. I know that we're all here in person, but we also have people that are they're doing this conference remotely. But we're never going to go back to just, below 50%, right? We're going to be in that higher range, okay? Regardless, whether it's sales, whether it's customer success, whether it's your remote team and you're having a team meeting, or you're working on a project with, internal or not. But this is creating opportunity as well as challenges. So I want you to really focus on the opportunity aspect of this. And what Uniphore did a study with Florida State University, and what we saw was that people that are better at the emotional intelligence, the really engaging and understanding their audience in a virtual world, close a lot more deals, right? So we took a sales approach here, but if you think about that, if your project that you're trying to get off the ground and get budget for, or to get team for or time for or priority for, you're selling. You're selling internally, you're selling to your team, you're selling to other people, right? So think about it in that way, but that ability to read the room and be able to do that is absolutely, it's critical. And in that virtualized world, it is much more challenging. And so really what I want you to think about is when we talk about AI, right, generative AI, all the different things that we're all getting bombarded with, it's creating the ability to extract more information from those conversations. So think about those conversations. Think about the last virtual meeting that you were in, right? When that meeting was done, the best that you had available to you was probably any notes that you created, right? Anything that you wrote down, and how present were you when you were writing that down? Maybe somebody was taking notes and they shared that after the fact, but that's pretty rare, right? And so again, thinking about those conversations that we're all having over and over and over again, you can extract so much information if you look at all the layers. And those layers are voice, so what's being said, right? It's the tonality. Did somebody, wow, that's great, or, oh, that's great, right? Said the same words, but my tone was different, right? Visual, were people nodding, right? You know, oh, great, oh, you got it. All right, cool. Yes, you get what I'm trying to say. All right, you're nodding. Okay, right, that's great, but every time I'm looking around the room, I'm missing other people, right? Imagine if I could focus on every single person in this room at the same time and extract those nods and those head shakes or the facial expressions, right? So those visual cues, right? And then the content, right? As soon as I put up this slide, did people say, okay, what else is going on today? Or did they tune out? Or did they go, oh yeah, you know what, that might be Utah. You know what? I had so much fun when I was in Utah hiking that one, when I was, in my 20s, right? Right, it's resonating, right? But all of that is information that can be used to better the outcome of what you're trying to accomplish. So this is our solution, and what we are able to do is extract both, a lot of different things. But what I want you to focus on is on the right-hand side, and that is that with that information comes value, right? Comes action, right? You can get real-time feedback. Who's engaged? Whose sentiment's dropping during that conversation? If I'm trying to get my CFO to sign off on purchasing a new tool or coming to a conference in Portland, right? Boy, it would be great during that conversation, if I'm doing it virtually, is to know whether that person is even paying attention, right? And so getting that real-time feedback, right? Insights, if it is a sales motion or a customer success motion, right? Having to, over the course of multiple meetings, pulling in those insights of what has taken place over those, right? Looking internally, right? Emotional intelligence is not just about how I gauge my audience and whether I can extract their feelings, right? And paying attention. Are they engaged in what I'm saying? Am I listening, right? But what about me? Am I conveying the right tones? Am I engaging you in what I'm saying? So my EQ. And then again, content, etc. But again, always just go back to those conversations that you're all having, internally, external, extracting information. Just a couple things I did want to share. Some of our customers, right? So some people that are actively using this, right? It's not just me saying my tool's awesome or my thing is awesome, right? These are our customers that are doing this, right? And they're getting huge amount of productivity advantage, right? Think about this, right? How many of you have, after a call, right, with no matter what it is, there was something that occurred on that conversation, especially if it was external with a customer, but if there was a conversation that took place and you're like, Bob wasn't on this call, I need to convey what just took place or what was just said to Bob. And now what do I have to do? I have to go quickly, hopefully if I remember it, maybe I made some notes, and I've got to type something up and send it to Bob and hope that I conveyed properly what transpired, right? All done something like that, right? Imagine being able to take that actual moment from that virtual conversation and sending it to Bob and say, hey, Bob, Susie said this on this call. I think it was a great piece of feedback. Can you help me follow up? Now it's not me translating. It is listening directly from that person. So tremendous amount of productivity, better win rates, ramp time, right? Somebody comes into the program and you're like, hey, whether it's a new salesperson, a new customer person, a new product person, right? Imagine, a new product manager comes into a company. They're maybe going through some training, but now, hey, go back to, hey, here's 5 of the last conversations that we had with customers. Here's some of the great discovery conversations that took place. Here's some great feedback, right, that took place on those calls. They can ramp so much quicker. So these are folks that are getting that value. They're extracting that value. They were both having conversations already, but it was just call was done, disappeared, right? That value disappeared, right? And so being able to continually extract from those meetings that were already taking place. This is a lot, but what I really want to show here is that it's about those inputs. It's all of that information. It's taking that, combining it with the other things that you're doing, and then creating those outputs, right? Whether it is a generative AI summary, taking an hour-long call and boiling it down to 5 or 4 sentences, right? So that I can share that and boom, there you go. I didn't have to type that up. I just copy-pasted that into my email for my update for the week, right? Or automatically capturing action items, key moments, things like that. But it's all about those inputs. And all these things all happen every single day, all day. Again, internally, externally. It happens all the time. But most of the time, there is no path beyond that. It just ends, right? Or it's a very manual path of creating that yourself. So, again, you're faced with this. You could look at this as, God, this is just a pain. This is a challenge. But what I hope that you will, talk to me later today, talk to me, in the next hour, tomorrow, whatever it might be, pull me aside. I love talking about this, regardless of what your company does, what your role is. I love talking about this stuff, but look at this as an opportunity and try to take advantage of that. That's my information. Feel free to reach out at any time, again, today, tomorrow, or in the future. Any questions, that just from the group that I'm happy to take any right now. Cool. I appreciate your, sorry. Yeah, it's a great question. Super common question. Yeah, so his question was, how do you get consent, right? So you're recording this. So number one, whether it's Teams, I'm pointing to my Microsoft friend over here, or Zoom or WebEx, right? There are tools that it is very visible. It is being recorded. It is a pop-up. This is being recorded. In the last 2 years of talking about this all day, every day with tons and tons and tons of different companies, I've had one person that has asked for it to not be recorded, and that company was going through some pretty intense litigation, and so on that particular call, we pulled that off. I've had conversations with data companies, security companies, very large, very small, all kinds, and as long as you're expressing, hey, this is being recorded, this is why, I'm going to be able to share my notes with you, I'm going to be able to service you, help you better, etc. People are like, oh, cool. And it's depending on the industry, it's super common, right? In more of a tech vertical, super common to be recording or to be doing some of these types of things. In a more manufacturing or some of the oil and gas, some of those verticals, it's a little bit like, ooh, that's interesting. Okay, sounds all right, but as long as you bring it up, it's very common. And from a security standpoint, we're not doing facial recognition. It's really detection, right? And it's not building those profiles. So it's definitely a common question, but it's definitely something that's pretty easy to get through. Yeah.
Yeah. So some people are using like their built-in computer camera.
Yeah.
That they're looking right at.
Absolutely.
It's another camera that's over here.
Yep.
How do you account for that difference in measuring engagement based
Yeah, so we actually had this conversation yesterday on one of our product calls. So it's very much, the quality of the camera is fairly irrelevant, right? And matter of fact, even if somebody was like, hey, I'm eating lunch right now, I'm here, I'm listening, right? And they might be talking, it still is able to extract from the tone and the voice. So there is still a lot that can be gained there, even if they're not on camera. If it is off to the side and that camera is off to the side, it's going to not see the eyes tracking, but it will still capture the nods and a lot of those types of things. So it has potential to be somewhat impacted by that, but it does have again, that being multimodal, it's pulling from a lot of different, if you will, data sources, and so it does get a lot of that value still. Yeah, great question. Awesome. Well, I'll turn it back over. I appreciate the time, appreciate the conversation today, tomorrow, like I said, but really excited to hopefully talk to many of you. Again, regardless of what you do, what your industry is, I still have a lot of fun talking about this. So thank you.